Hey, I think we are rolling. All right. Hey, Damien here. Quick little rant. As I'm watching the protests as usual, about gun control. And, you know, I have to ask the question if to all these protesters, how serious are you about gun control? Every time there's an active shooter event, school shooting, look, there's nothing worse than when children's lives are cut short, and especially when it's at the hands of some broken individual, it's even makes it even that much worse. Now, we can debate gun control. We can talk about mental health and what has changed over the last few decades that has opened the doors to these catastrophic events. But the real question I want to ask every protester that's out there demanding justice is exactly what are they concerned about? I'm obviously the answer is the loss of innocent lives, right? They want to protect children. Nothing worse than, like I said, nothing worse than children dying, especially at the hands of senseless violence. Okay, so how do you propose we stop it? Of course, in the perfect world, they're gonna say take all the guns away or make it impossible to, for people to get guns or to increase stricter gun control laws. We've been going on, you know, we've been doing gun control and increasing gun control laws for the last 30 years. And how effective has it impacted in stopping active shooters? Zero. It still occurs, and it occurs more frequently. This is what it is. The reality is that if you want a gun in this country, you can get one. If you want a gun in any country, you can get one. But the reality is there's hundreds of millions of guns out there. They're not going away. So wishing them away, while it's nice, and wishing that people are, get better mental health, right, is not, these are big, large scale issues that, aren't going to be fixed in a matter of weeks. But there's something you can do right now. Um, because the reality is these are going to continue to happen, and the only thing that stops active shooters is armed security, and the only thing that stops bullets is body armor. So, you know, what we should be really doing is handling the immediate threat, which is happening slowly but surely. But the reality is, when it comes to putting up defenses, like when you see an armed guard at your school, it, to a lot of people, the majority of people, it reminds them of why that person is there. And it's not a good thing to think about. No one wants to drop their kid off to school thinking they may be shot that day. It's an awful feeling. No parent wants to deal with it. But it's still, while these are an anomaly, they do happen more and more. Look, I always like to use the fire analogy. I don't think there's been a death in a fire in a school since like the 1950s. Yet they still have fire drills. You got fire extinguishers. Everything's built to code. Excuse me. Colonel David Grossman does a great presentation on this. If you ever taken one of his seminars, I highly recommend it. So anyway, so the school is prepared for that. Now you see they're slowly preparing for violence, but the problem is it's like violence has a different feel than fire, right, or natural disaster, because it's like that's an accident that happens. Someone coming in there and killing your children should be that's that feels like it's preventable, right? It's one person, it's a human being coming in to do harm to others, right? So nobody wants to think about that. And again, you have to, because this is the world we live in. It's happening. They still happen. They continue to happen. So when I talk about people about gun control, or they talk to me, again, there's some obvious questions to answer. I'm like, it's like, why are you, when I ask the simple questions, why are you for gun control? The answer is always the increase in gun violence and active shooter events. Um, and then follow up with asking how concerned they are about their personal safeties, right? Oh, I'm very concerned about my personal safety. I could get shot. I could do this. I could do that. I'm like, okay, so what measures have you taken to protect yourself or your loved ones from being shot? The answer is usually nothing. I mean, the least you could do is get some body armor, right? If you're thinking about getting shot and you're worried about, gun violence, get some body armor. Oh, well, I'm not really worried about in my area. It's okay. Well, what area are you worried about? Neighborhood downtown, the bad section of town. Okay, great. Well, why don't you get some fundraising and get those kids and those teachers and those staff body armor or something, right? Why don't you help them fundraise to? You don't have to donate. I'm not asking you. You could put in your time as much as you're protesting or posting. Why don't you help them stop the immediate threat, right? Because there's two things. I mean, one, there's the immediate threat, which you have to stop, which is happening. So you got to respond tactically. That's increased security, body armor, and making places where active shooters target safer, more secure. That's just what you do. And then on the back end, you can talk about gun control. You can talk about, mental health. You can do all that stuff. That's great. But, you got to do the immediate need, right? You've got to do, if you're on fire, right? You want to stop, drop, and roll, right? You're not going to talk about, well, we should, where the fire started, how the fire started. No, you're burning, right? So you need to take care of the fucking immediate pain right away. Look, I mean, the fact is, this is the world we live in. And, if you're not willing to accept the fact that bad things happen to good people, but a lot of these, with a little effort and resources, are avoidable. I mean, the fact is, that there's not a bulletproof backpack in every classroom right now is bizarre to me. While I still see teachers stepping in the front of active shooters and getting killed with no protection whatsoever. At least give them something. If you don't want to give them a gun, okay, give them some body armor. Give them some pepper spray. Give them something that they can use as, to protect themselves and as a tool to defend themselves. So, to still see, like, when I see teachers getting, killed, standing in front of their children, in the front of their students, without any protection whatsoever, it fucking blows my mind. Breaks my heart. Because, I like to think that, as a coach and as a father, as an instructor, as somebody who's put themselves in harm's way as a first responder, I mean, I would be that person. And I know many of you out there would be as well. You're not good. It's your instinct to protect the young, the innocent. And yeah. So, when we're seeing these protests, when, protect the kids, not guns. Okay, I agree. Protecting guns. I mean, again, people, they're here to stay. So that's it. Let's protect the kids and not get distracted by this bullshit that's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. I mean, if it makes you feel better, okay, great. That's cool. You do you. But you're not helping protect kids. The way to protect kids is to actually protect children. Not fucking take away, potential, the potential of somebody protecting or, I don't know. Yeah. So, anyway, post your comments below. Love to hear from you. Again, if you got somebody who's, adamant about gun control, ask them what they're doing right now. to prevent themselves from getting shot, right? Very simple. Why do you want gun control? Answer is going to be gun violence, active shooters. Okay, fine. Are you, how concerned, what have you done to increase the lives of the safety of the teachers and students in your community? Right? Are you concerned with your personal safety or that of your loved ones? Great. What have you done to increase their safety? The answer is going to be nothing. It will be nothing. So, say, well, I mean, how seriously do you want me to take your position? Because all you like to do is complain, but you're really not concerned. If you were, you'd have body armor, you'd have pepper spray, you'd have something on your person that would help you stop or at least deter gun violence. All right. So, I want to thank you everybody for watching. That's it. That's my little rant. Till next time, train honestly.